You're watching Open House NYC. Now we take a look at the Lent-Riker-Smith Homestead in East Elmhurst, Queens. It's known as the oldest continually inhabited private residence in the city. It was built in the mid-1600s by Abraham Riker. Yes, that Riker of Rikers Island Riker. So since the early 80s, it's been owned by Marion Duckworth Smith, who has painstakingly restored and renovated the home and the grounds.
I'm Marion Duckworth Smith. Welcome to the oldest private home in New York City, the Lent-Riker-Smith Homestead, circa 1654. So come on in and I'll give you a personal tour. The reason that the house is called the Lent Homestead is because very often people adapted the name of the village they came from. The Rikers were among the first Dutch settlers, so it originally was Ricken van Lent, which was Rikers of Lent. The reason why the house is called the Lent-Riker-Smith Homestead because now it contains my family history as well. These are the pictures of my family. My father, Charles Asensi, and his brothers, who went to World War I in 1917. Although the house was originally settled in 1654, we're now standing in the 1729 edition of the home. I'd like to point out that this is the original pine staircase with the peg-leg banister. There was a fire here in the 40s and this floor was burned out, so we tried to match it as best we could to the original 1729 wide plank pine floor in the living room and the library. This is the formal living room. The first time I saw the house in November of 1979, it didn't look anything like this. I've brought this house back to life, and I've lived my fairy tale. So in this room, you see some of my passions. In memory of my brother Charles, who died of AIDS in 1988, I bought a walk-on in a Broadway show for 15 years and collected lots of memorabilia. Carol Channing's necklace from Hello Dolly, Glenn Close's ring for Sunset Boulevard. The hat is an original from A Chorus Line. These are Chita Rivera's cabaret shoes, and I wore them for a fundraiser for Broadway Cares, and Chita turned around and said, "Love your shoes." The 1888 Steinway Grand was custom rebuilt for me as a gift from my husband because this neighborhood was known as Steinway back in the day. So now we're standing in the original part of the house. This room was also known as the keeping room back in the day, where the family lived, where they cooked their meals, where they slept. These are ledges that I found in the attic, which hadn't been touched in 100 years. This room also contains some of my father's World War I artifacts, and also things from my grandmother's farm. Now you've seen some of my collections, but let me take you into my toy room. I'm a child of the 40s, and I love toys. And if you went to Coney Island and you won a prize, you usually got what is known as carnival chalkware. This is an original Coney Island carousel horse, circa 1915. But the history doesn't stop here on the inside. Let me take you outside. You're looking at an acre of land. I have a front garden, a side garden, a secret garden, and a gingerbread house. So now let me show you something that no other house has in New York City. On our second date with my future husband, I inquired, "Where are we going?" And he said, "How would you like to see my cemetery?" We're now standing in the Riker burial ground. 132 Riker and Riker descendants are buried here. One that died at Valley Forge, the former caretaker, who was a retired veterinarian and lived here with 47 dogs and 33 cats. And now it also houses my family plot. My mother, my brother, my sister, my husband, and I'll be there to haunt anybody who comes along and tries to destroy my good work. And I'll recite my favorite inscription for you. "Weep not, my friends, old dear. I am not dead, but sleeping here. The debt is paid, the grave you see. Prepare for death and follow me." Thank you for coming on the magical tour of the Lent-Riker-Smith Homestead, where dreams come true and my fairy tale is fulfilled. I give tours So come visit me.